Good afternoon, and thank you for attending today's Lunch and Learn session. Today's topic is on Sage Desktop, Dashboards, and Alerts with presenter Max Dykers. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone will be in listen-only mode, so if you have questions, please type them into the questions box on the screen, and we will address them at the end of the session. If you need to step away, please do not put your phone on hold. If you have hold music, it will play for all the attendees. This webinar will be recorded, and we will email a copy out to everyone within a few days. I will now turn it over to you, Max.
Hey, folks. This is Max Dykers. So thank you all for attending today. Some of you may know me. I saw some familiar names on the list. I've been a consultant for Sage, formerly Master Builder, for about 13 years. And before that, I was in the tech support department for about 3 years. So this is my 16th year of doing this. So we're going to jump right in. These are some new features that are in the version 18, or Sage 100 Contractor, it's now called. And if you haven't converted to that, now would be a great time. But I want to give you a little tip. When you're converting, the desktop icons in Sage are going to disappear. And some of you may rely on those to get around certain screens and so forth. So a little tip would be to make a print screen of your desktop in the older versions of Sage before you convert in. To make a print screen, in case you don't know this, I'm surprised at how few people know. It's just a Windows feature. It's not a Master Builder or Sage feature. There's a little button up next to F12 on your keyboard. It'll say PRNTSCRIN or SCRN. And that basically takes a snapshot of what you're looking at anywhere in Windows. So if you hit that and then go into a new Word doc and just go to Edit and Paste, then you'll get a picture of what you were looking at. So here's a picture of an older version of Sage with desktop shortcuts. So now if you print this out before you convert in, then you'll be able to recreate these when we get into the new version. So let's see. I'm going to jump right into Sage now. And I had this open from before. Let me close this out. Okay, so this is the new desktop in Sage, Sage 100 Contractor. They've organized everything that was on the system menu into these different activity centers. Let me move this down here. Okay, so these items up here are called activity centers. They basically are trying to make this look a little more user-friendly, maybe a little bit more, streamlined for different types of people who don't want to sift through and look through all these different menu items, because there's a lot in here, and there's a lot that you're probably not going to be using. So they've tried to make this a little bit easier. So your home and resources page is completely blank usually, and however, a lot of my clients put all of the icons that they need right onto this main desktop, and then they don't even have to go through and click through these. And I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. So they've streamlined these, as I say. So if you're in the Service and Clients and Service tab, you'll now have your clients, your jobs, work orders, cash receipts, dispatch board, and a couple of reports. This is all sort of pre-canned. It comes right out of the box when you install it this way. Again, all of these pictures and icons are related to items on this menu. So from older versions, you'll be used to going through the menu. Eventually might get used to just looking at these pictures, and it'll be a little bit easier. So in addition, I can click on this Clients and Service tab, and then I have this Clients menu item. That's the same as clicking on this Receivable Clients picture or icon, and it's also the same as going to the main menu and going to Clients. So there are a lot of different ways to find things. There also will be some reports, so like statements and so forth. So any of these activity centers will have reports available. Like different forms available, the 1099 forms. If I go to projects, I can get to various different reports and menus available here. There's also a reports button, so I have client reports, service reports, vendor reports. Again, all of these things are accessible on the main system menu, but they're trying to streamline this for everybody. I think they designed these for kind of larger companies where you might have somebody or a group of people who are only doing vendors and purchasing, or only doing project-related job costing and so forth, or people who are only doing payroll. And so they've sort of pre-coded these process maps where these little lines are connecting these different screens. This may or may not be applicable to your business. In fact, a lot of my clients, they actually don't go into these because, as I say, they just want to have the 3 or 4 screens that they need on their main Home and Resources tab. If you wanted to customize these, let me show you a little idea here. So maybe you don't need a direct deposit, for example. You go down to click here on the bottom, and you can click on the delete tool, and then you go up and you can click on the item that you don't need. Now you see when I click on that, it shows me the lines that are connected to it. So as soon as I click on that, it deletes all the lines that go to or from it. Now maybe I want to move payroll checks down. So I just go and use my arrow tool here, and I can click and drag this down. And I can see these lines sort of get a little skewed, so you might want to move those around as well. And so you can see you can drag and draw a line from one item to the next. That's with these little tools down here. So if you want to spend time customizing this, it could be very useful. You have to hit Save on the bottom in order for it to save those changes. But let me show you how to go back to the Home and Resources tab, how you can just say maybe you only need 3 or 4 screens or a few different reports. If you go down to click here to edit your shortcuts, same place we did before. Now I can go over to my main menu and I can click on what I need. So perhaps maybe just the clients. I'm just dragging that up. And the jobs, like that. Maybe I want invoicing. Okay, and maybe I want cash receipts. Okay, that might be all you need related to jobs. Maybe you're, and this is per computer and per user login, so someone else can set up their desktop the way they would need if they're doing job costing or something else that an accounting person might not be doing. Okay. Now maybe you want, instead of clients, maybe you want this to say customers. You can right-click on the icon. This is something we could never do before, so which is very cool. Go to Edit Text, and I can just call this Customers and save. And now that just says Customers. Now it doesn't change it on the main menu. It only changes it on my icon here. But that's a really nice feature because a lot of people have been looking for that. Okay. In addition, if you want to, I'm going to save down here on the bottom. Oh, if you mess it all up and you want to get back, you can click Restore, and it'll bring it back to the way it was. You can also undo your last step. So, okay, I'll hit Save. Now let's say there's a certain report that you find that you want to put on this desktop. Let's go and find like maybe an aging report or something. Okay, so if we go and find the specific report that you want, let's say the invoice aging landscape, you can go to Create Shortcut up on the top, and you can click on Home and Resources. You could actually send it to any one of those Activity Center icons on the top here, into any one of these. But for now, we'll just go to Home and Resources. Okay, and I'll close that out. Okay, now here's my AR invoice aging, and when I double-click on that, it brings me right to the report that I had selected at the time. So you might only need 3 or 4 or 5 reports, who knows, depending on your role in the company. So then you can kind of make a nice, tidy row of icons here, and it'll make your job flow a little bit easier. Okay, so now I want to show you the system menu versus my menu. So this is yet another layer of sort of streamlining. The system menu is everything in the system, even modules you don't own. You might not have the service receivables and an inventory module. You might not have the estimating, but it's still going to show them to you as being available. If you go to My Menu, now these are only the items that you might need. So rather than having to sift through, if you're used to going through the menus and you're less of an icon person, then you can customize this to be just the menu items that you need. And to do that, you go down to here, click on Customize My Menu. And right now we don't have General Ledger selected, for example. Well, I can check General Ledger, and you can see that it checks all of the submenus underneath. And of course, I can uncheck some of those if I only want certain items. Maybe I want accounts receivable, but I don't want AR reports. Maybe I just want everything else. If I do Save as My Menu, Okay, so now I have General Ledger available here under my menu, and just those items that were checked. Let's see. Right, okay. So that's about it in terms of customizing the My Menu. Let's go and take a look at the desktop settings. If I go down here and click on Settings on the bottom, there's some features in here which are nice. So the dashboard, which we'll look at in a second, I'll pop it up here actually, just in case I'm sure most of you have seen it if you're in this version or older versions, but this is a little sort of bird's eye view of the company with various balances and agings and so forth. This is something that they designed for owners who don't do a lot of data entry, but they want a quick view of the company and the financial health of the company, and you can drill into any one of these items. This has been around for several versions, but some people turned it off when they first installed and never saw it again. So they don't know that it's here. It's actually quite powerful, and we'll look at it more in a second here. But so you can, back on the settings down here at the bottom, you can automatically launch the dashboard when you log in. So that way it'll always pop up, and then you can shrink it down if you don't need it. You can also only see the certain activity centers. So maybe you only need clients and service. You don't need vendors or any of these other ones, and maybe you want the banking and so forth. And reports, maybe you don't need administration. So if I save now, you can see that it shrinks those and only shows the items that I need here. Go back to settings and select them all. Now, you could also hide all activity centers, as you can see. If I click Save, now I only have the main menu, and I only have the desktop and the system menu and My Menu. That will give you some more room if you want to have more icons on your desktop. Okay, so we'll show all those. Let's save that again, get back to the way it was. Okay, so let's go and look at that dashboard again now. So there's actually quite a bit in here, and they keep on adding new features. It's getting more powerful. It's a great feature. So the first thing I want to show you is the cash accounts. This will show you the current balance in your banking accounts, your cash accounts. It will only show 5 at a time, and then you have another line item for all other cash accounts on the bottom. If you want to change which accounts are shown, you can click on Edit here, and you can click just the ones you want. You'd have to uncheck some. Now we have 5 shown, and click OK, and it will refresh that, and it'll refresh the other accounts that are included down here. In addition, if you were preparing some financial reports and outside of Sage, maybe in Excel or Word or something like that, you can actually copy this information to a clipboard. And now if I go and open Word to a new file, and I go to Edit and Paste. Okay, paste in. This is like a text. This is like an image thing. It's not an actual, like you wouldn't paste it into Excel and be able to fuss with the numbers. But so this could be useful if you wanted to create some reports and just drop all these into some kind of custom form report. You can see there's a little X next to any of these. So maybe you're not doing service receivables, for example. You can X out of that, and it'll just remove that from the list. There are a bunch of other things you can add as well, some very cool things. If we go to Add Remove Content on the top left, they now have all of these different little graphic reports and little update reports on different areas of the program. So we're in the General Ledger tab now, and so this is the cash. Anything that has an X removed, that means it's being shown currently. So right now we're already seeing those cash accounts. We saw that a second ago. Your cash position, your income from operations. We could add previous year income comparison, previous year expense comparison, and so forth. So you can kind of scroll through these, see if there's anything else you want to add. Maybe we want department budget versus actual expense. Click on this, and then we close out. And if we scroll down, it's going to be at the bottom here. There it is, department budget versus actual expense. Now this is not really interactive. There's not much I can do here except I can click Edit. Yeah, I could select only certain departments in this case. but you can't change the graphic layout and so forth. It's sort of predefined. If we go back to add remove content up here, so that was only general ledger related things. I can now go to payables, and I have an aging, I have expiring vendor discounts, credit card accounts, and so forth. These are all little pre-coded things, but they have quite a few. So you can customize this to a great deal, put in the different little warnings and things that you need. Okay, so those are sort of general customization things that are available here. There are a couple of other things in here. The alerts manager and the way that it interacts with the dashboard is really cool. So let me show you that. I'm going to close the dashboard for a minute. We can say yes to save changes on that. Oops. Let's get back to Sage. Okay. So the alerts manager, this came out a couple of versions ago, but it's basically a way to be reminded about things when certain factors are met. So a lot of people ask for this, or they've been asking for it for a while. They want to be reminded when a job is over budget, or a checking account balance is less than $5,000, and so forth. Well, this is a feature that allows you to do that. When you log into your company, this list, these little query lists will be blank. So you might want to spend some time looking at these a little bit to kind of get a sense of even what you can do here. It's really quite powerful, and the crux of this is really the report writer module, or the query module in Sage, which we could spend another whole session on, or even months on. It took me quite a while to master it, and I'm still learning things after 16 years of doing this. So you might just start off with one of these and scroll around through it if you haven't played with the report writer at all, or the query writer, and just get a sense of how it works. So I'll go through one just for a few minutes here so you get a sense of it. So we have checking account balance less than $5,000, and it'll run this report daily, but it'll only put a reminder on my dashboard when that factor is met. If the balance is more than $5,000, I won't get a reminder. This is active, so you can turn these on or off, and the next run is 221. So if I click on this, I'm just going to go show you, oops, I'm sorry, don't want to change the name of it. If I click on it and go to Edit on the right side, this is the query or report writer that I was mentioning. Now this is a very simple report because all of the data that I'm asking for is all on one database. And Sage is just a collection of about 600 databases that are all linked together and related in various ways. And unless you really spend some time with the whole database structure of it, you won't quite understand exactly what you're looking for or how to get something out of it. But this, as I say, is a very simple one. So the primary table or database of this report is the ledger accounts. And that would just be anything in your general ledger, all of your accounts. So the first thing that we're going to show here down below is the account number, the account name, and the ending balance of the account. All of those things you can find on the right side. So once I select that database, I have account number, I have names, I have the ending balance, and so forth. You can see there are a lot of fields here just in this one database. These are the other fields that are related to ledger accounts, so sub-accounts, cost types, and so forth. But we're not going to get into any of that yet. So in this particular report, all we're asking for is the account number and name and the ending balance. These are the reports these are the fields that I'm going to be showing on the report. If I click Next, down on the bottom, this is the way that I'm going to filter this report. So I'm putting in little criteria here. I want the ending balance to be less than $5,000. And if you click the little drop down here, you'll see you'll have some other possibilities. Equal, greater, less, greater or equal to, less or equal to, not equal, and so forth. You could have it equal to 0, not equal to 0. So in this case, I want it to be less than 5,000, and I only want the account of 1,000. That's my account number. You could have it between, for example, if you want it to be a range of accounts. Okay, so that's very simple. I only have 3 fields, and I only have 2 little criteria here. If I click Next, this is where you'll be reminded of this when the criteria is met. Right now, it's set to go onto my dashboard. You could also email it to yourself, and then you can set up, who it's going to be emailed to. You've got a little reminder. The email subject will have a little reminder built into it. You can run this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and so forth. So I'm going to actually cancel out of that because I don't want to change the properties of that. So now that little reminder is sitting there, and when the balance goes below $5,000, I will get that as a reminder on my dashboard. Let me go show you that. The dashboard, and we have alerts. So I'm not sure if the balance is, no, it's more than 5,000, so we're not actually going to have a reminder. I'm going to build another one in a second, and you'll actually see it working. But here we go to unread alerts here. These are all the different alerts that have happened that I might want to be reminded about. You can click on any particular one, and there's some more detail on that particular reminder. We'll see that again in 1 second here. So that's the general idea. So you can go through in the sample company, go into the alerts manager, start to look at some of these, and start to get a sense of what it is you might want to get out of this, what type of reminders you might need. And there's some good documentation about this as well to kind of give you some tips. If pretty much any report that you're used to looking at, we can build a similar, it's sort of a stripped down version of that report, but you can build it into here as a reminder. So any job cost analysis, profit analysis, and so forth, you can build into here. Okay, so let's actually make a reminder, no, I wanted to show you one other part of this where we're actually going to see a reminder on your dashboard. So these are alert queries. These are ones that I can customize. The system also has these pre-canned, what they call program warning subscriptions. These are reminders that are built into the system already, and actually many of them, or most of these, have been for many years. These are little warnings that you can turn on or off somewhere in the system. And when a user when that feature is turned on, for example, a transaction date doesn't match the posting period, the user who's saving a transaction will get that warning. Well, people ignore warnings all the time, and especially if someone doesn't really understand what the message is saying. Some of the messages can be a little cryptic, or they might be affecting a part of the program that they don't interact with, like job costing or something like that. Then they're probably just going to blow through the message, click OK, and save the entry anyway. Well, this now allows either a project manager or an owner or whoever to see when those warnings have been ignored. So for example, transaction posted in the next fiscal year. So let's say you're posting something in 2014 by mistake, and you ignore the message that tells you this is in the next fiscal year. Are you sure you want to save? I can now get a reminder on my dashboard or an email. I personally would probably prefer to get them on my dashboard, because then that's something that I'm running daily or however often, rather than an email where you're going to be getting a lot of emails anyway. It's hard to keep up with emails. So it's my own personal choice, but everyone can choose how they like that. So the few that we're going to look at here are the transaction posted in the next fiscal year, the transaction date doesn't match the posting period, each month in the year gets a posting period, and the job costs exceed the budget for a certain cost code. So all three of those reminders are set up to go to my dashboard here. Okay, so if I close out the Alerts Manager now. So now I'm going to show you quickly, we just have a few minutes. I'm going to go and show you I created a budget for a test job. I'll go into the budget window. Okay, so I have this job number 7. I have a $100 budget under material for concrete, cost code concrete. But obviously just a very simple one-line item little thing here. But if I close that out, if I now go to my payable invoices, okay, and I know I have one in here that I actually saved. I'm going to copy this and void and paste. If you don't know about copy, cut, and paste, you should learn about it because it's very useful. And so here's my payable invoice now. So I'm actually posting a $200 entry for this job. And if I go into my job cost, so that's exceeding the budget by $100. And if I go under, this is my job cost one. I'm going to open this up a little bit. If I go under options here, this is where the warning can be set. This is where the warning would be set that the data entry person would have ignored that would have caused the reminder that we're about to see. So there are two options in here, and these are just two of many little settings that I can put in here. So we have budget verification. This will confirm that the cost code that I'm using on my payable invoice is on the budget. It wants to make sure that you're only using cost codes that are on the budget. And this option here will give you a reminder or warning if you're exceeding the budget for a cost code that's on your budget. Now there are actually some nice features in here as well. The tolerance, it can allow to exceed the budget by a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount, and you can have a not to exceed and so forth. So there's some nice features in there as well. For now, we're just going to save it as the default settings. Okay, so now both those options are there. I'm just going to hit enter, and I think all these things should come in automatically for me. Okay, so I'm putting $200 against that budget line item. I'm going to save this. Now, here are the warnings that I'm getting that I'm going to ignore. The actual plus committed costs exceed the budget, and approved changes plus the tolerance amount. So I'm over tolerance by $100. So I'm going to go ahead and save this anyway. Maybe I have to get the check out to the subcontractor or whatever. I can't be bothered with budget problems right now. So I'll click yes on that. Now you get a couple of other warnings. The date of this record is in the next fiscal year. In this case, it's actually 2013, but this sample data set is from an older year. So it's telling me that I'm posting something in a future year, basically. This usually would be a reminder that someone hasn't closed the books yet and that you're not in that new year yet. So in this case, I'm going to say yes. I want to ignore the message. And then we get one more reminder that the posting period, which is 6 for June, assuming we have a calendar fiscal year, doesn't match the date, which is February. And so I'm going to say yes on that. Okay, so now I save that entry. Now I might go on and go about my day, but then the owner, project manager, whoever, can go on the dashboard on a daily basis or whatever, and you might want to click refresh up here, this little refresh button. Okay, you can see I have now some unread alerts over here. So if I click on that, now I have a payable invoice posted with the transaction date in the next fiscal year. I have payable invoice posted with a transaction date that doesn't match the period. And same thing, job costs exceeding the budget, and so on. These are all reminders that have popped up that I either haven't read yet or whatever. I can mark them as read, I can mark as unread, I can delete any one of those. If you look at this and say, uh-oh, we went over budget on this job, let's double-click on this. It'll show you the invoice itself. It shows you some information about the invoice. And if I double-click on that, it'll bring me right to that invoice. And now I can see, oh, the supervisor entered that, or John or Joe, whoever it is. And then you can go and talk to them and find out what it might have been about. You can also, of course, click on the costs and job costs, and you can see the detail of that entry. So these are just a few of the possibilities of the different types of reminders and alerts you can get. It's really quite a powerful addition that they've added on here in this new version. So you all might spend some time looking at, again, in the Alerts Manager in the sample company, the reports that are here, and I'm sure one of us can help you if you need help customizing in more detail some of these alerts and inquiries. I think we're about out of time, so Krista, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, we have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first question is, can you restore to the default view for dashboard?
Yeah, I believe so. If we go back to the dashboard, and let's see, that's a good question, actually. Can we do that? Perhaps not. No, I think you might have to, actually the easiest way to do that would be to create a new company, just a brand new play company, and then go in and look at it, look at the dashboard, and it'll be set up the way it was when you started. And then you would probably have to go and customize. So for example, you have to go to Add Remove Content and select the items that are shown. There probably is a way in the database to sort of overwrite those changes. I wouldn't know what it is, but it's possible. But probably easiest just to create a new company and then go in and check it out, and you'd get it back the way it was by fixing it.
Okay. Our next question It is my experience that in the My Menu tab, you can't use the numbers to access options like you can on the main menu. Has that been changed?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think they've made that change. I've noticed that as well. I'd have to look and see in the knowledge base, or you guys can also look in the knowledge base on the Sage website. There could be a programming reason why that's been turned off. I don't know. But as far as I know, if I click on, let's see, if I click on 4, yeah, no, it's not working for me. If I go to the system menu, then it is working. So it's probably a bug, but I don't know the answer for sure. If you check the knowledge base, and you can certainly put it in as an enhancement request. If you go to Home and Resources and Customer Resources and Product Enhancement Request, you can put it in there, and it'll, oops, I don't know if it's going to pop open here. Yeah, there we go. So this is where you can put in any request, anything you'd like to see that's not in the system now, or you could tag it as a bug, and then hopefully they'll look at that a little more quickly and get those resolved.
Okay. Next question is, we have alerts on our dashboard, but they never get emailed to us. They just sit there. Could this be a problem with our server?
Yeah. There are some things that do have to be set up in the Alerts Manager. I can't do it on this computer. I can't show you much, but you do have to put in some properties and probably like an IP address and a few other things in there. I believe there is a good help topic about it, but if you also call support, I'm sure they'll walk you through it and help you test it. I've set it up for several clients, and it always takes a little bit of testing to make sure it's working and going to the right email address and so forth. So I'm sure there's a good reason why it's not working, and I'm sure we can get to the bottom of it.
Okay. Next question is, our 4-2 payable invoice job cost option does not have the same options as you are showing on the screen. We only have drill down and WIP verification. We are using 18.2.48.0.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Those features are actually only if you're logged in as supervisor. I should have mentioned that. So these features can only be set by whoever's logged in as supervisor. You can only check or uncheck these. So you probably just have drill down and WIP verification like you were saying. So if you log in as supervisor, then you should see those available to you.
Okay. That's all the questions we have. If anyone else has any other questions, feel free to type them in now.
Mm-hmm. Here's my email address. There's Henry and Krista. I'd be happy to help anybody if you need more training or consulting on any of these things. Just give me a call or email.
Okay, no more questions. So thank you again for attending today's Lunch and Learn session. We will be emailing out the presentation to all attendees later today. If you do have any questions, feel free to contact us. All this information will be included in the email as well. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.